Thank you for tuning in. This is Wild Girls Gone Sober.
Wild Girls Gone Sober.
Sobriety in Paradise. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Amy.
We're
both alcoholics.
Woo. How are you doing today, Amy?
I'm good. I'm shaking off my stress of finding a parking space here because it's a very busy downtown area, and I live near cows, so it's weird. Not used to it, but I'm good. I've got my caffeine. Ready to start my day. I'm so excited to see you because I feel like we haven't done this in forever. I mean, I got to see you, but we haven't got to podcast in a while.
No. And so we're just going to do a little recap of some of the events that we've gone through, and some of the experiences that we would have gone through completely sloshed.
Yeah, things we're doing sober that previously would have been enhanced often in negative ways by
the old liquid
alcohol.
courage.
Yes. Yeah, I've had a lot going on. Since we saw each other last, I went to an event for an organization that I do a lot of networking for. They had their big awards gala. I don't know if you want me to go right into talking about that.
Yeah,
but it was, I had a lot of anxiety around going to that because I think I have it in my head that these events are just big old parties because I used to make them a big old party. And I fret about the not drinking and people noticing that I'm not drinking, which, slowly but surely I'm starting to understand that nobody gives a crap whether or not you're drinking. Like you're the bottom of everybody's list of priorities.
It's not always about you.
What?
I know. I hate when my therapist says
No,
that.
it's the worst thing ever. It's always about me. I'm the center of the universe. But so I had a lot of anxiety about going to this event. It was a very fancy gala. I was planning to stay the night because, of course, when I first intended to go to it, I was still drinking. Excuse me. And so I was planning to stay the night to be safe and not drive home because it was about an hour and a half from where I live. And I had a hotel room, and now obviously I'm going under different pretenses, but I was part of the setup, and I had offered to be part of the takedown committee for the event. So I thought, all right, well, having a hotel room is a good idea because you'll be able to get ready there and not drive home after the event, assuming you'll get back late. And then as time went on, I got more and more anxious about spending the night. So I ended up just going home. But the event itself was great. I had a good time. There were lots of people there who were not drinking. That was a big eye-opener as people were offering to get me drinks. And I was like, oh, no, just a club soda with lime, or no, I don't drink, whatever.
So you're finally comfortable saying, I don't drink?
I am saying I don't drink, and I almost feel like I'm saying it like I have, Tourette's. I'm saying it at times when I really
Please explain.
Well, where I don't have to say, I don't drink. You don't always have to tell people that you don't drink. You can just say, sure, I'll have a Diet Coke. Nobody's going to look at you weird because what you asked for wasn't alcohol. I do consume liquids.
Right. Hydration is key.
Yeah, well, so an example of blurting unnecessarily, I was at that event. We were setting up. I was part of this one particular team, and we were running up and down to the different sections. So we had our cocktail hour in one area, and then the event, and then an after party, and so we were kind of all over the place. So I'm with the guy who's in charge of my group, and I was offering to help break down the next morning because in my head I'm well, I won't be drinking. I'll be back at the hotel relatively early because I don't plan to stay for the after party where people will probably be getting into it because I am usually the keep the after party going until 2 a.m. girl. And I'll feel fine in the morning. Weird. So I'll be okay to get up early and come help. That was my theory. I'll let all the hungover people be hungover and I'll come help. So I was offering to come, and he was like, oh, you don't need to do that. And I was like, well, I don't drink. So everyone else who drinks alcohol will be inebriated and wrecked and feel like shit the next morning. And he even looked at me funny when I said it. And I was like, oh, you really didn't need to. You could have just said you were offering to help to be nice. You didn't need to blurt that out. So things like that. I feel like I get a little Tourette's about it. I don't owe anybody an explanation.
Exactly.
I don't owe anybody a reason or an explanation or anything else. And even, okay, so I'm going to change gears. So that was the BOMA event. I mean, the eye-opener of that was nobody was getting shit-faced. A couple people had a good buzz on that you could see, but most of the people there were very behaved. There were 3 other people at my table of 10 that were not drinking alcohol.
So that's really interesting. When I went to an event the other day, I said, I'll just have, and I was anxious. Do you find yourself being extremely anxious beforehand?
Yeah.
But like when I get a club soda in my hand, it's almost like it's a real drink mentally because I instantly become a little bit calmer, like on the inside. And
like it's like your Captain America shield.
Exactly.
Like, I'm good now. I've got my alter ego identity on.
Exactly. And so when I went up to the bar, I don't know what, I was just a little like, I needed to get like, I don't know if I was dehydrated or what, but I was just like, oh, I'll have a club soda with lime. And then she's like, oh, we have that. And it sounded like she needed to go somewhere else to get it. So I said, oh no, I'll order a water, whatever's just easier. I just needed to look, and I said, I just want it to look like a drink. And she goes, a lot of people are doing that here tonight. And I was like, yes, it's not just me. And I don't know why that felt like the sense of relief. Because you're right, I don't know an explanation to anybody. Yeah. I don't have to fake that I'm drinking. And I wasn't. When somebody asked me what I was drinking, I said, oh, it's just a club soda. But sometimes I'm really comfortable being like, oh, it's just a club soda because I'm not drinking. And sometimes I'm like, oh, it's a club soda. It's been it's just been a long day. I have to get up early. So I kind of still...
But we still explain. Like I'm
correct.
I'm way over explaining. Even... So this is where I was going to change gears. When we ran into the dude yesterday, so we played in a golf tournament yesterday, which is our favorite thing to do, right?
Drunk.
We love to golf. We love to golf together. We love to play in tournaments. We are the life of the fucking party. It's the first time we've ever gone to one and not gotten fucking shit-faced.
And the last time I did drink with you was at a golf tournament.
And that was my 2-day bender.
And the next day I went golfing with my dad. I had a beer with my dad.
It was fun.
A glass of wine when I got home, and that was the last time I drank.
I forgot it was Father's Day. Yeah, that was a big, so that was like the come to Jesus Jay Snow week. So we ran into this guy. So here's me and Lindsay at this golf tournament, ready to have a sober fun day. Yay. And I was so glad, I had you and vice versa. And so we run into this guy who remembered me. Lindsay knows him. And he's like, oh, yeah, we've met at that last tournament. And he made some kind of comment like, oh, you girls were having such a fun time. And then you're saying like, oh, yeah, that's the last time I drank. And then I'm like, oh, God, I feel like I'm supposed to like, yeah, I don't drink anymore either. And then I felt like we went into this like way too long conversation and explanation about the fact that we were drunk bitches at this event and we're alcoholics. Like,
and now we don't drink anymore. Like, we're better.
The whole thing was so fucking uncomfortable. I wanted to like crawl out of my skin and run away.
So in my defense though, I do know him very well. Like I've known him since I was a child. Like my mother taught all of his sons.
You were like, oh, we'll go to Thanksgiving or something. I don't know
yeah. So
I was like, oh God. I was like,
but no, that was interesting because we both felt the need to ramble on this long explanation where he almost seemed uncomfortable.
Yes.
And we were just like,
we clearly made him uncomfortable. I agree. Like he was like, funny. Oh, yeah. Totally made him uncomfortable. It was very weird. So I think that's a realization I'm coming to slowly but surely. I don't know how long it's going to take it to get to the front of my filter, but in retrospect, I'm like, okay, you do not owe an explanation. You do not have to tell people you're not drinking or why. You can just order something non-alcoholic.
And I don't mind so much. I mean, it shouldn't be a natural reaction to just explain, but I almost feel like, I don't want to say proud because the last 17 years of the shit I've done drunk, they're not proud moments, but I feel like a lot more confident today or yesterday saying I don't drink than I did 3 months ago or a month ago or a week ago. So I feel confident saying I don't drink or I'm not drinking like right now.
It's a pride that you're not drinking. Like I'm proud of myself because I haven't been drinking. Like,
but that just gets stronger and stronger each event or time. But I will say, when we were at that golf tournament yesterday and I haven't played in about 6 months and, we're not scratch golfers. We're not superstars on the LPGA tour or anything.
I don't suck.
You don't suck. You definitely carried the team yesterday, which was just so interesting.
Because I usually suck.
No, it was just you were consistent.
Yeah.
And I was consistently not good.
But
okay. So anyway, I haven't played in a while. It was my first time out since my shoulder, and feeling nervous about it and extra anxious. It's the first time I've been golfing since I haven't drank. So that was extra anxiety.
It's the first time you've golfed at all since you weren't drinking. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So everything. It was just a combination. It was like
and
all
just
these
to
things.
paint a picture, like even if it's okay, so a tournament really in my world up until this point was like an excuse to day drink.
Oh, you drink at 7:30 at check-in.
And regular golf was still an excuse to day drink, but maybe a little bit lighter usually. But I mean, it was like, it didn't matter if we had a tea time of like 9 a.m. We were cracking beers and drinking Bloody Marys and whatever
or
else.
having Bloody Marys, and that's what got us into, that one weekend. But
sorry.
no, so I don't even know where I was. So all this stuff. So my anxiety level was high, but I felt good. I felt like healthy. I felt hydrated. I felt ready to get out there. My shoulder felt just better. But I wasn't confident in my skill set at the time of not drinking and of playing golf. So I felt it was the first time. So we start playing, and we were playing with these two people that we'd never met before, these two guys. And thank God, they were fucking
They were super cool. Yeah.
And they weren't drinking.
Super cool.
But we still had a kick-ass time with them. I mean, that was really refreshing to be around people that weren't drinking, weren't just like being bad, like they weren't just taking. They didn't. It
wasn't shots of fireball,
in their golf bag, right?
Yeah.
Or they weren't like, oh, here's a bottle of Belvedere. I just so happen to have frozen in my golf bag.
Things that really happen,
right?
Yes.
And so that was just really comforting. But so at this particular tournament, at every other hole, there was a whole cooler full of beer that the alcohol distributor had sponsored the event, and they just do such a good job at this event. I'm just really glad we were a part of it. But they just do a really good job of providing alcohol as well. And for me, that's when my anxiety kicked in. It was like if I had a shitty hole and I was not feeling good about it, and then the next hole there was those big red coolers and somebody, a cute girl serving or whatever, and I was just like that made my heart palpitate a little bit stronger. That's the first time for me that I felt that it was a success not drinking at that event.
No,
because
I understand that. Yeah,
I've noticed that at these events at night and these social events, like I can get through those, and it's almost entertaining, especially if I feel calmer going into it. But it's easier than I thought it would be. But golf, like that's my jam. Like, how are you going to?
That's really funny. That's interesting. I get it, but it's interesting that was more stressful for you than the other events. Because I did not feel that way yesterday. Like I definitely had the thought of like I would play a little bit better with a little bit of lube.
I know. I felt so tense.
I did. I would play a little bit better with a little bit of lube, but then I'd have a lot of lube and too much lube, and then I'd be a drunk mess that didn't remember the last 4 holes that we played. And I did not see any of that yesterday. It wasn't that kind of deal. Like, I didn't see anybody that was, like, fucking wasted running around.
So I know, I can tell, I see a lot of those same people networking during the day.
Yeah.
And so I know, I can see it in them, in their eyes. I can tell what they're like, with their tone of voice. Like, I can pick up on that. I'm just instinctive that way on certain people. And now I'm hypersensitive to it because I'm not drinking.
Right.
So, like a friend of mine was in charge of check-in, and he sent a text and he was like, is this a trick? Someone's offering me a beer. And I'm like, no, it's not a trick. That's just how this particular tournament, like you can drink and volunteer at the same time.
Right.
And then by the end of the day when I saw him, I could just tell he had a couple of, like his face was just a little rosy. His voice was a little bit slow, a little bit, if that makes sense.
Okay, so these weren't really my people, so I wasn't
No, but my
any
people
of
I
that.
could pick it up on.
Yeah.
Even people that aren't my people, I could just see their eyes getting a little red. Just, you know?
Yeah.
Or they're like, all right, gotta go. And they slam the rest of the beer and then, like, put it down and walk out.
Oh, remember that?
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, I'll tell you. So I ran into somebody that I met recently in the rooms at this tournament.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was an interesting moment because we, like, it took a split second to figure out where, like, we knew each other from. Like, we talked for a second, and then we're like, oh, right.
Ooh, we're going to have an off.
No, we're not, because I'm not going to do that. Because I thought about that a lot, actually, and I thought that's the right thing, is that you're going to
talk
either
about it.
need to run into that person in the rooms too, which I think you will, or they're going to have to say something to you.
Okay.
I outed you though to them because I don't
awesome.
think. Well, I don't think you would mind.
Okay.
I think you can trust me there. That I said to this person that, oh, okay, well, Lindsay and I are usually there together, and they were like, oh, I think there was a happy.
Okay.
It was a happy thing. I think it was a support for that person to know that you two are.
Interesting.
So I think you'll know soon enough. But I said to them, like, I just want you to know I'm not gonna say that. I'll let you decide if you're gonna say that. But I know Lindsay would be okay with me telling you.
So yeah,
Sorry
so
for the mystery.
but
that was weird. But running into somebody that I
Yeah.
just met at the rooms, like that has happened more than once now to me. Where I've run into someone at a networking thing where I know them from the rooms, and it's this like funny little awkward moment of like, everybody's gonna know that's where we know each other from. Like, it's hilarious. So yeah, that happened toward the it was just interesting, and it was fine.
Yeah,
it was fine, and I was like, oh. Funny, like there is a lot of us out there. There's a lot of us out there. And then I had I'm sorry, I'm diverging here, but
no, you're good.
I had another meeting that I went to in like my home group where there were two people there. One of them was super familiar, and I'm not sure if they were together or not. The other one I definitely know, and he came up to me and talked to me afterwards. But who I know from the chamber and business stuff, and had never seen him at our meeting before. So that was like when I introduced myself and then he introduced himself, we were like, oh, hey.
In the room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was funny. So anyhow, just interesting things that happened. But no, my point was people weren't getting completely shit-faced like
we would have. For sure. I mean, it was
I'm so
free
sick of
alcohol, booze, beer everywhere.
Yeah,
like,
we would have been all over this.
Yes.
And we would have been those girls. It would have been the Amy and Lindsay show that it usually is. And we would think we were hilarious, and everybody thought we were the life of the party. And we probably were a little bit of a chuckle.
We used to be, and I'm sure people talk shit about us.
Right.
But I got swept away. So I didn't get to like hang out after the tournament because they moved us over to
go take your shot because she was in a closest to the pin contest
to shoot my shot. What? Oh my god! So we'll talk about that later. But yeah, to shoot my shot. So I'm over there for 20 minutes in flip flops,
right?
Trying to figure out what is going on and how I even got there. So by the time I went back over, I felt like everybody was gone.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get to like chit chat with people afterwards, which is part of the fun and the networking. So I kind of feel like I missed out a little bit on that, but it ended up being, a fun experience.
Yeah.
But
the day itself was great. The guys were funny. They weren't drinking because they had their own stuff going on. Like, they had a couple of beers when we got back at lunchtime.
One guy did. The other guy had to go to a meeting. But so it was definitely
But it was so
helpful.
reasonable. Yeah, it was so reasonable. And I think it's the norm. Like I told you, I was telling my husband when I got home, I was talking about the tournament, and I was like, oh yeah, the guys we played with were great. They weren't really drinking about it. And he's like, well, you realize people don't really like normally get into it at 9 a.m. And I was like, well, I don't know that I agree with you about that, but fine. Yes, I know. That's why I'm not drinking. And then I tried to have like a, so how are you feeling about all this, not drinking stuff? Like, because today is day 60.
With your husband?
Today's day 60, by the way. Today is day 60.
Congratulations.
And, thanks. And so I had said that to him, and I was trying to like prod, like, how are you feeling about this? Like, are things different? Are things changing? Mm-hmm. Are you like happy? Or like, I'm trying to like poke a little bit. And he's like, he's not the most emotive communicator. Like, you don't get a lot out. And he's like, yeah, for sure. Like, that's all I'm getting. I was like, well, do you feel like it's good for us? Like, is it benefiting our relationship that I'm doing this? Like, how are you feeling? And he's like, yeah. And he said, there's certain anxieties that you don't realize are there until they're not there, was what he was saying. So I think he's definitely feeling some relief of probably being able to trust me to go to an event like this, which normally I would have come home shit-faced.
Oh, well, we wouldn't have gotten home. I mean, we were still
We would have been out to like 7 p.m.
We would have, yeah.
And we would have been the last people to leave because we wouldn't want to miss a minute of free bar.
And we already were. I was already one of the last people to leave yesterday.
Oh, really? See, I felt like I jammed out pretty early.
Okay.
But I had some more stuff I had to get done. But so that's what I'm interpreting. Like I'm assuming, and that was all he said. He would talk about it more in time, so he wasn't getting into it last night. But my interpretation is events like that, events like what I went to for that other organization, and deciding to come home that night instead of spending the night in the hotel and probably being wasted kind of situation. Like building that trust that he can count on me to be out there being responsible, not getting a DUI, not coming home drunk, not finding me on the bathroom floor, going to his parents' house for dinner and not worrying that I'm going to drink 3 bottles of wine while we're there on Sunday night. Yeah. So I think that's what he's going through on that side.
So on my side of that, I think that just takes a long time. And I always revert back to the one guy in the room who talked about, he went to his mother's house for 10 years before she put the alcohol back out because he was sober for 10 years. And that amount, but it's reality.
It's true.
It is
fair.
true. And
yeah,
it's
fair.
Like, not that we deserve it, but it's just part of the process. And I really have to remind myself of that because, Pat is wonderful and super supportive, and we have love talks and we talk about our feelings all the freaking time. And I know,
really do.
But and it's just beneficial because we have to stay on the same page all the time. It's so important because of all the trust that has been ruined because of drinking and hiding feelings and behaviors. Right. Mm-hmm. So, but even as wonderful and positive and expressive and just supportive as he is, that is still a real thing for us every day. Right. And I see that coming home yesterday, he texted me he doesn't text me all day and bother me when I'm doing stuff when we have that, thing. Right. But like he said at 2:30, did you beat everybody? And at 2:30, I left the house at 6:15 that morning. Mm-hmm. So if I left the house at 6:15 that morning and he's texting me at 2:30, that's a normal, probably he went through that anxiety. I am sure of it in his mind. And especially being with you because we're catalysts for each other.
We are, and he used to be the pick-me-up drunk guy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was the go-to, like, even before you guys were together.
Yeah.
You would call him from our antics, and he would come and rescue you, knowing full well he was coming to get drunk-ass Lindsay.
That's the one we played really close to his house.
Yes.
And I knew that, and so I would get even more wasted.
Right. But you were like, woo, I got a free ride home from a good dude. I
can do whatever the fuck I want. Watch out, bitches.
I know exactly what you mean. Like, I know exactly what you mean.
So, but the trust thing, like, that is still very real because sometimes I get frustrated. I'm like, well, gosh, like, I've been sober 5 months. Ooh, look at me. And like, why is there still that little bit of reservation from his side? And it's just going to take time, and as hard as that is for me sometimes, I know it's just part of it.
You're right. And I hate it. And somebody said something in the rooms the other night that I thought was great. They said, I can't keep hoping for a better past. It is what it is. The past has happened. It's done. I've done all those things. I can't keep wishing I could change it or hoping for it to be better. All I can worry about is this forward. And I thought that was great. I needed to hear that in that moment. You always hear the things you really need to hear. Yeah. So there was my nugget. See, I had a nugget. So I thought that was great. But yeah, and I think unfortunately on my side, we've talked about this before, that he keeps picking alcoholic women.
Your
right?
husband?
Yes.
Okay.
So he's been through some journeys that revolve around alcoholism. I'm sure I'm the first one of this gaggle to truly be making an effort to be sober and work a program and change this behavior.
And that's new for him.
But
he doesn't know sober.
But it's worse than that because he's got the ex who is just, that's her life. She's not doing anything about it. She's just gonna be a drunk. Then he's got the one that did go through treatment and program and other things and didn't stick to it and relapsed and cheated on him and lied and stole money, and they had a business together, and it, like, there were all these bad, hurtful things that happened to him from someone who said they were going through treatment and a program.
So it's going to take him even longer.
It's going to be even harder for him to believe that I mean it and I'm sticking to it and I'm working it. And I don't know. I'm just not drinking today, right? I'm just not drinking today. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I have hard days. I hope to, whatever, the universe, that I'm not one of the people who relapses. Like, I hope that I'm somebody who truly has had my last drink, because, like, I get emotional even thinking about this. Like, I can't imagine what the repercussions would be in my relationship if I were to relapse, because he's already such a fragile eggshell because of other people, like the baggage that he comes with, that unfortunately is my responsibility now, right? Like,
absolutely,
I can't erase that from him, so I just have to keep doing the best that I can do to stay the course.
One thing, when I was talking to my therapist the other day, like, I kind of went in there and I was having a really, like, good day. So sometimes I feel like I almost am like...
You're like, I don't need to go.
Yeah, but I really, I truly do get a lot out of that. Good days, bad days, whatever. I can talk to her all day long. But I went in there and I was like, I'm just still feeling like I'm always thinking it's about me, in a sense of, like, why is Pat upset? Is it me? Is it something I did? And what she said is, and this was like, ugh, she said, you're still trying to make up for what you've done in the past. And you've already gone through this, like, proven stage. You need to move forward and know that there's nothing you can do to make up for what happened. But your actions, and Pat is a very much like, actions speak louder than words. Like, he is not words of affirmation. He is actions for his love language.
Acts of service.
Acts of service, love language, 100% quality time, right? So she said, what did she say? She was like, you just have to stop trying to make up for it and move forward and just continue down the path of what you're doing. Like, you're doing good. And I don't know why I just constantly need that, like, affirmation from, or just that confirmation from her, I should say, that I'm doing the right thing. Because there's going to be one day where I wake up and it's not going to be, oh, I did something to upset that person. It's just that person is upset and has nothing to do with me, and it doesn't need to affect me.
And I'm happy to support them somehow if I can, and if it doesn't hurt me.
But it's not. I don't need to take on the responsibility of it being my problem.
Right.
So, yeah. So we've got a couple more minutes. Did you want to touch base on anything else?
I want to save some things. Oh, yeah, let's talk about my work conference. So, yeah, so Wednesday, today's Saturday, Wednesday, I went up to up north a little bit to stay overnight. Well, we're talking about Florida. I went to Orlando. Yeah. Like, whatever. I don't know, I'm being all super secret. You already outed us in South Florida, but I went up to Orlando for this work thing, and Wednesday night there was like a reception. My company was winning an award because we're a distributor for this particular...
Because you're fabulous.
Because we're fucking awesome. I love my job so much. It's disgusting. But... so we were winning all these awards from this company for like distributing their products, whatever. And so my whole crew, it was really my office. It was like the sales peeps from certain areas from my office that were going. And it was, my GM for the state, my GM for my office, my boss, my peers. They were going up Wednesday night because there was a reception. And then Thursday all day we were going to be in a seminar just learning about different products and things that are coming out. So, of course, Wednesday night is like drink tickets beforehand, open bar when we're at the reception, like all these things going on. And when I got there, one of my coworkers, who is a superior to me, was offering me my drink tickets, and I was like, oh no. And he knows that I'm not drinking. Like, I've had a very frank conversation with him about
good for you,
the fact that I'm an alcoholic and I'm in the program and what's been going on with me, because I wasn't really on my game the last couple months. Like, I feel like I'm
like you needed to explain.
I'm a performer. Well, but I did. I feel like I did need some understanding. I'm a performer. I've crushed it this year. Like, I'm a top rep in the country in my little role. Yeah, like I've crushed it. But the last 2 months I've been kind of like, wah. And I didn't want him to feel like I didn't like my role anymore, or that I wasn't happy, or that I was lazy or not working. Like, I wanted him to understand I've been in kind of a weird place. So I also, I think it's good for him to know that that's my deal. Anyway. So he's offering me my drink tickets, and I was like, dude, And he was like, oh, God, I'm so sorry. My bad. I forgot. I'm like, it's all good. Like, that's fine. So we hung out. Everybody else showed up. Everybody's drinking. Like, everybody's drinking. Everybody's ordering the mojitos and everything else. But, nobody's, like, off the chain. So now it's a little bit later. The little reception thing is over. I drank, soda water the whole night. Several people heard me say it, and that was all fine. Nobody had any comments to make about my drinking. And the other thing is, so I've been here, it'll be a year in January that I've been with this company. So I'm still a new kid. They've never seen me, like,
wasted,
go nutty. Yeah, they've never seen that Amy. Like, there just hasn't been. Well, all right, a couple of them.
Wait, I was gonna say
no, a couple of them have, but like just a couple people super close to me, like my bosses, like the big bosses. They've never like seen me get wasted. That they're like, oh, let's drink an Amy. Like the only events we've been to, I've been behaving, right? So. It wasn't a big deal. It was no big deal. Nobody cared that I wasn't drinking. There was no issue. But anyway, what happened later, so the reception's over. We were going to something else. Or we just didn't want to be in there anymore. And I was hanging out with like 4 people. And one of them was like well on the way to like knock our face. Like well into it. And as we were finding other places in this resort to be, we kept having to hike all the way back down into the conference area to go back to the free bar to get another beverage or 2 to bring back to where everybody was hanging out. And then we finally like got to a point where we were like shoving snacks in his face and like to that degree. And he we had a cornering moment, like where he like kind of cornered me and got on a topic that I was very uncomfortable with. Like it was like a religious thing, and that I don't do that. Like, and I was kind of trying to like be there for him if he wanted to have some conversation about his drinking, because that was kind of the road it started to go down. And I was kind of trying to be like available if that's what he wanted to talk about, but I'm not going to preach at him that he should probably have this conversation with somebody. It doesn't need to be me, but I wasn't going to preach that at him, but I wanted to be available if that's where he was trying to go with it. But then he like got on this God topic, which I was very uncomfortable with, and I had to shut it down hard. Like I finally had to say, I've asked you twice to stop doing this, and I'm not comfortable with it, and I don't want to have the conversation. I'm going over here to hang with the rest of the group if you want to join me. And I went. And then like 15 minutes later, I left him in the capable hands because I felt like I was babysitting. And I can't be a drunk babysitter. I'm not capable right now. I don't have the capacity or the willpower or anything else. I can't be responsible for a drunk person right now. It's why I can't be I don't know what the time frame would be that I could ever be anybody's sponsor, because I can't get a phone call in the middle of the night that you're at the bar wasted and I gotta go get you. Like, right. I can't do that. So I gently like handed him away to another pair of people at about 9:30, still early, and I was like, going to my hotel room. And I did. I went upstairs. I had my Kindle. My hotel room had a bathtub, which was like such a treat because my house just has showers. It's weird. I know. They renovated the house, took all the tubs out because we live in an area full of old people who can't climb in and out of tubs. So it's more valuable. Oh, I know. So I was so excited, just like take a tubby, have a little me time, read my book. Like I had a lovely, lovely evening, and I woke up in the morning, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, not hungover, which normally at conferences,
that's what you do.
I'm in there sweating vodka and feeling like I'm gonna throw up. Like I remember the last conference I went to for the company I was with before this. Oh. Fucking MG. Like I literally had to leave the session I was in to go back upstairs to throw up in my hotel room because I was so
classy
hungover that I was gonna throw up in the middle of the session. Like so bad. But it's been that way. I'm sorry, I know we need to wrap it up, but it's been that way since I was in my early 20s because I spent 17 years working for a company that we were in the automotive industry. And when we had national conferences and regional conferences, it was unbelievable, the drinking that went on. Like, we partied so hard. Yeah, we partied, and it was very male-dominated, and I had to, like, keep up with the boys and be cool and be able to hang so that they wanted to hang out with me because I can't, have people not like me ever. And so that's what conference means to me.
that's what anything work had meant to me for the longest time. It was like any event, it's like, oh, great, because I can drink at my work events and I can have a good time. And it's almost not expected, but as everything's running smooth, it's odd to not have a drink. Like at the last work event
it's
I
like
threw,
a social norm.
Right. It was like, why aren't you having a beer? Like, have a beer with us. Like, you deserve to have a beer. You did a great job. Da, da, da. Have a beer. Where's your beer? And it's like, stop. Like, I'm good.
Right. Don't need your beer.
Right.
You have a beer.
Let me get you another one, you know?
But it's that mirroring thing that we're hearing more and more and seeing more and more, is that when people have a problem with you not drinking, it's because they have a problem with their drinking. They're
reflecting,
Normies
for sure.
who don't fucking have a drinking problem don't give a fuck if you're drinking or not. If someone has a problem with the fact that you're drinking, they probably ought to be in your program.
Absolutely. When they're like, when you're like, no, it's just club soda, and they're like, oh, this is my first glass of wine. It's like, I didn't ask you what number you were on, but you felt the need to let me know that, right? And we've all said it's our first glass of wine when we met. It's our first bottle.
Oh my god, I totally never drank, but
yeah. Oh, I never have two. Right.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Give me a break.
Yeah.
So, well, that was a little wrap up of some events that we've gone through, and
good and bad moments of them.
And one day we'll just be able to talk about it openly, about everything. It's one thing I feel like we don't do.
We talk pretty openly. What do you
think we do?
I do.
Okay.
No?
I feel like I hold back a little bit there. Just on the names of
I
the
like to
events
just vomit all over
blah.
the table, right? Like, you guys are getting straight up.
But we do appreciate you listening and tuning in, and
Yes.
hopefully some of the things that we talk about can be helpful. And if you have any suggestions of things that you would like to hear of what our craziness is going through at 2 months, congratulations, Amy.
Thank you.
5 months for me, I believe.
Whoop, whoop. You're like a hot minute from 6 months. It's amazing.
I don't know why that 6 months feels like it's going to taste so good. I'm going to have cake for 6 months.
We'll get some muffins or something.
And but we do appreciate you, and if you have any suggestions or any comments or questions or anything that you think we could possibly help or improve, please let us know at wildgirlsgonesober@gmail.com. Yay! And please follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and we appreciate your support.
I love it.
So this is
guys.
Sobriety in Paradise.
Stay wild and sober.
Yeah. Till next time.
Till next time.